I just ask you something? Do you like your job?
No, I do not.
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the funniest jokes on SNL's Weekend Update about U.S. politicians.
Former Governor Ronald Reagan spoke out against marijuana, abortion, equal rights amendment, busing, and gun control legislation. When asked what he was for, Reagan replied, quote, hair dye.
Number 10. President Biden's light touch. In 2021, during a conflict between Israel and Hamas, some political commentators credited Joe Biden's light touch in dealing with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Instead of pressuring Netanyahu for a ceasefire or publicly condemning the fighting, Biden privately asked him, "How does this end?"
But in fairness, everything Biden does involves some kind of touch.
Even before this conflict, though, Biden was known for other light touches, according to Weekend Update anchor Michael Che. In 2019, for example, while he was running for president, many women came forward about their discomfort with the excessively physical man. In response, Biden issued a statement vowing to listen to women. Still, does he need to stand so close?
You have one job, keep the guys away from your sister. You're in trouble.
Number 9. 1983 Chicago Mayor's Race.
You know, I just wanted to get a few things off my chest tonight. I got a few things there to get off. I want to tell you, these Academy Awards have really got me in a lather.
1983 marked a significant year in Chicago's political history. Harold Washington was elected to be the city's first African-American mayor. It was also a significant year for the Academy Awards, with some awards going to now classic movies like Gandhi, Tootsie, and E.T. But not everyone saw the merit in those films. Cast member Mary Gross appeared on SNL Newsbreak to rail against the poor examples set by the nominees. She had some clever political quips, which brings us back to the mayor's race. Although black and white movies have been in the same category as color since 1968, Gross still saw the racial tensions in Chicago as the best black and white comedy of the year.
Oh, hey, how about the Chicago Mayor's Race? Best comedy in black and white. You get my drift, huh? Oh.
Another jab came at the expense of George H.W. Bush, who was apparently the best animated cartoon character of the year.
Who should really get an award for the best animated cartoon character, George Bush, huh?
Number 8. Senator Gary Hart's affairs.
Have you ever committed adultery?
I do not know. I'm not going into a theological definition of what constitutes adultery.
In the spring of 1987, Senator Gary Hart was in the running to be the Democratic presidential candidate. However, his chance of success was ruined when it turned out that rumors of womanizing and harassment were true. The rumors went back all the way to 1972. They made the public question Hart's integrity and trustworthiness. Are we all just supposed to forgive and forget politicians' faults? That's what Dana Carvey asked while impersonating Weekend Update anchor Dennis Miller.
So Gary Hart wants back in the race. Yeah, right, back. Yeah, this guy sleeps with every dame on the planet. I'm supposed to forgive and forget.
The real Dennis Miller, meanwhile, didn't see the extramarital affairs as too bad. It's just a shame that Hart threw away his chances on Donna Rice.
You know, I'd hate to think we got into World War III because this guy saw a cute chick in the Kremlin.
Number 7. Thomas Jefferson and black women.
The statue of Thomas Jefferson in the city council chamber has been removed. The statue was taken down from its pedestal earlier today.
Founding father and slaveholder Thomas Jefferson's reputation has been reevaluated many times over the years. The Thomas Jefferson Foundation did some DNA tests in 2000 and confirmed that he fathered between 1 and 6 children with the enslaved Sally Hemings. In 2021, when Confederate symbols were under particularly strong scrutiny by the public, a statue of Jefferson was removed from New York City Hall.
Some council members had objected to its presence because of Jefferson's history as a slave owner.
But how did they manage to move a statue that had been there for 187 years? Michael Che's solution was simple. Tell the man that there was a black woman outside.
They were finally able to remove it by telling the statue there was a hot black lady outside.
Number 6. Betsy DeVos is not good at her job.
Because this sounds like talking.
Yeah, no, there is a sense of urgency, indeed.
The Secretary of Education during most of the Trump administration was Betsy DeVos, who was opposed from the beginning. Not being an educator or even heavily involved in public education definitely did not help. From nomination to getting sworn in to following up a year into her term, DeVos was under constant scrutiny. There was one specific interview on 60 Minutes which set people against her.
Do you think that teachers should have guns in the classroom?
that should be an option for states and communities to consider.
She emphasized the rights of parents to choose their children's schools, but skirted around direct questions about topics such as past progress and teachers using guns. Interviewer Leslie Stahl did not let DeVos off the hook, leading to the Secretary of Education stumbling and not looking fit for the job.
I'm not so sure how exactly that happened.
And Kate McKinnon's impersonation on Weekend Update really drove that home.
You know, I think it's because I do not do a good job. And I can't because I don't know how.
Number 5, draining the swamp.
We have begun to drain the swamp of government corruption by imposing a 5-year ban on lobbying by executive branch officials.
One of the biggest and most repeated promises that Donald Trump made while running for president in 2016 was that he would drain the swamp. He promised to get rid of private special interests and lobbyists in the federal government. However, his team was mainly composed of lobbyists and those with private interests, so maybe he wasn't the best spokesperson for the idea.
And a lifetime ban on becoming lobbyists for a foreign government.
Weekend Update anchor Colin Jost pointed this out, calling attention to the likes of Newt Gingrich, Ben Carson, Rudy Giuliani, and Chris Christie, and compared them to the lowly life forms found in swamps.
Because even if you drain a swamp, it's still full of newts, a sleepy little turtle, a hissing possum, and a pile of wet garbage.
Number 4, O.J. Simpson inspires President Clinton.
Indeed, I did have a relationship with Ms. Lewinsky that was not appropriate.
Norm Macdonald's tenure on Weekend Update is perhaps best remembered for the constant jabs at O.J. Simpson. First Lady Hillary Clinton was also a common target. The U.S. public got a hint of what trouble was to come when a woman sued President Bill Clinton for unwanted advances in 1991. The worlds of politics and sensational murder trials overlapped on January 24, 1995, when President Clinton gave a State of the Union address and the opening statements were made for O.J. Simpson's trial.
In fact, it was wrong.
McDonald took this opportunity to hilariously combine the separate news into one story. He drew attention to Simpson's guilt and the unhappy lives of the Clinton marriage in one swoop.
Even the president was distracted during his speech, waiting to hear exactly how much it costs to kill your wife.
Number 3, President Trump occasionally acts human.
You know, I'm surprised to see you. I didn't think we had anything to talk about.
I think we do, Donald.
Donald Trump has been a figure of mockery for SNL writers since long before he ran for president. Not a particularly eloquent man, it was easy to make fun of him. When it came time to give his first State of the Union address, no one had very high hopes. So the fact that he pulled it off garnered widely positive reactions. But Weekend Update anchor Colin Jost was not surprised at all, because the bar was so low to begin with.
President Trump gave his first State of the Union address on Tuesday and received mostly positive reviews. But that's only because we expect so little from Trump at this point that when he behaves even remotely human, we're all really impressed.
Jost said the address was about as impressive as seeing a rat take a shower, since both show the rare sight of animals doing human activities.
Oh, look, he's doing human stuff.
Number 2, faults in President George W. Bush, Clinton, Nixon, and FDR.
Commerce, education, and the, what's the third one there? Let's see.
When Texas Governor Rick Perry was still in the running for Republican presidential candidate in 2014, he skirted a question about his intelligence by saying that the presidency is not an IQ test. Of course, Perry didn't need much outside help to prove he wasn't the brightest.
And let's see. I can't. The third one I can't. Sorry.
Weekend Update anchor Michael Che agreed that the presidency is not an IQ test, showing a picture of George W. Bush as proof. Not one to shy away from pointing out other flaws, he also roasted President Clinton for lying, Nixon for being unethical, and FDR for being unable to walk. No one's perfect, and no one is free from ridicule.
Or a foot race.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are some honorable mentions. The Capitol building houses criminals. Why do we need a new prison when all the criminals are already gathered in the Capitol?
The federal government has announced plans to build a 1,000-bed prison in the District of Columbia. Why don't we just build it in the Capitol building? We can save money on transportation.
Mitch McConnell, seen here. It's just too believable that the Senate Minority Leader would smile at such heinous things.
Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell, seen here watching a child fall into the gorilla enclosure.
Reagan is vain, because ragging on a conceited presidential candidate is just so much fun.
Ronald Reagan stated today that he has been wrongfully maligned by the press and the subject of libelous ridicule and gratuitous disrespect by television newsmen. The washed-up 65-year-old ex-actor, who looks almost too pretty for a man his age.
A sick President Ford pardons Nixon, because forgiving the Watergate scandal is not something you can do while in your right mind.
After a mild cold of that sort, it will take the president a few days to recover his motor skills fully, citing the period after his last cold when he tied his shoe to his hair blower and inadvertently pardoned Richard Nixon.
George W. Bush is learning English. We'd all be impressed if Bush expanded his vocabulary.
George W. Bush will make his first European trip as president, visiting Prime Minister Tony Blair in London. Hoping to make a good impression, Bush has spent the last week trying to learn a few English words.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Roasting the GOP.
Donald Trump, who claims to be testing the waters for a presidential bid, sparked controversy this week by demanding to see Barack Obama's birth certificate.
Even when Donald Trump was mainly a reality TV show host, he still provided ample material for the SNL writers. Back in 2011, he demanded to see President Obama's birth certificate and tested the waters for campaigning as a Republican candidate himself.
Though, if he loves America so much, why does he keep outsourcing the job of his wife?
Since he was hosting Celebrity Apprentice at this time, it was a great opportunity for Weekend Update anchor Seth Meyers to make fun of both the GOP and the celebrity contestants.
I know Trump thinks any publicity is good publicity, the same way he apparently thinks any hair is good hair.
From comparing Rick Santorum's wild, questionable claims to those of Lil Jon, to calling out both Trump and Dionne Warwick as bossy, entitled, and outdated, Meyers struck gold with this joke.
And finally, Donald Trump, you're bossy, you're entitled, and you probably still listen to Burt Bacharach, you're Dionne Warwick, and you're fired. Sorry, Dionne.
Did we miss any of your favorite political roasts from Weekend Update? Let us know in the comments.
Trump is just appropriating Obama's success. It's no different than white women taking credit for Yas Queen.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.